The election is just 3 days away, and a whole lot is at the front burner, and then we'll be engaging all of those issues. There is the need to raise the bar of governance against the background of the state of affairs in the country, in the state, and even globally. Who has the capacity to do that? Our panelists will be sharing their views, their perspectives, their thoughts or opinion with us in the next 45 minutes or thereabout. Let me begin by acknowledging the presence of the chairman, media team of the Labour Party Governorship Campaign Council, talking about Olumide Kadri Campaign Council, Idris Zakari. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you. It's always an absolute delight to share this platform with you.
We also have with us a member of the PDP Campaign Council media team. I'm talking about Christopher Ojekere. Chris, many thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We also have with us a member of the APC Campaign Council media team, Engineer Fidelis Esegbe. Many thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
We have with us as well a PDP Campaign Council UK team member with us here in the studio, Dr. Peter Waibe. Doc, many thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's get started with you. What's your take on the impact of governance, both at the federal and state level, on Edo 2024 elections? Is it on the positive side or on the negative side? And how do you think that can be something your party and your candidate can leverage on in this election?
It's for the most part, we now understand that we now have what we call, what has entered our political lexicon, what we call federal might and state might in an election. What that means for the layman is that the federal government, the government in power at the federal level, will attempt on the line to influence the election of a state in favor of the candidate of the party at the center. Same as the state. The governor of the state and the party he is from will attempt to midwife his own candidate into office when they are leaving. For us in Labour Party, we do not have Godfather in Abuja or Godfather in Benin. God is our father. So you see, in elections, this federal might or state might, as it were, is to influence wrongly, because you asked if it was either on the positive side or the negative side, is to influence wrongly and put a candidate that may not be a reflection of the wishes and aspirations of the people. For us, we are not entirely worried. We believe that power belongs to the people. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people 3 times. So that is why for Labour Party, it's a people-centric, people-focused, people-impacting government. And only the people have the power in a democracy to elect their leaders. And in Edo State, in the next election, it's going to be exactly the same. The people will decide who their leader will be. Federal might will fail, I guarantee you, so help me God. State might will also fail. We will not allow Godfatherism in this state. We have dealt with that, and we have since put that behind us in the years past. It is the people that will have the final say and make the final decision in this election.
All right, Chris, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think I agree very well with Idris Zakari. The people are the center of democracy, and they are also going to be at the center of decision making on Saturday. The people of Edo State took over democracy, governance, and their destinies from the hands of Godfather in 2020. When a Godfather stood in Abuja and unilaterally cancelled out the name of an Edo son, trained, educated, exposed, ready to govern. And Edo son, whom he has said to Edo people, was a first-class technocrat who knew more about what was in the books of governance than he himself who was governor. From that 2020, we started a paradigm revolution. That revolution was that the people should now take possession of government and who to govern. So, in 2024, 4 years after that revolution have taken root, the people are going to decide who will become their governor on Saturday. And that is why, when some unscrupulous element had gone to carve out a camp of the police force to use it to intimidate Edo people, as we have seen in the past 3 weeks, backward to 1 month. The people of Edo State stood up. When some goons and miscreants took over our airport road and other parts of the cities to shoot guns, to intimidate us into our houses in fear, the people of Edo State stood up. Not by guns and machetes as they were wielding, but by determination, will, and intellectual powers. We brought the entire federation to take note of that. We got the IGP to come here to make statements about that. We have brought the INEC chairman to come here to make statements about that, promising that there will be peace on Saturday and that the people of Edo State will be allowed to exercise their franchise and their rights to vote and determine their leadership. So on Saturday, the people of Edo State are going to make a statement. And let me say this right here. People should not be afraid to come out, because it will be one of the most violent free elections we ever had in this country. Everybody is now conscious of the fact that some people have no other thing they want to achieve in this election more than to create fear, more than to deny Edo people their franchise by making them stay at home. Edo State is a state that has always advanced democracy in this country. And so you cannot subvert democracy by muzzling and oppressing Edo people into their houses. Edo people are ready to vote. Look at the numbers of those who registered. 2 million plus. That's no child's play in a population that is just about 5,500,000. So Edo people must be allowed to do that. The eyes of the entire world are watching us. So let Edo people come out on Saturday en masse and vote for Aswa Ighodalo, who is the candidate that they have chosen, who everybody in their lips and on the streets have chosen to say, look, Aswa Ighodalo, Ighoduam. Now Aswa will go follow. If Aswa not did the ballot, we'll not go vote.
All right, let me pass you there, Chris. I'll come back to you. Engineer Segbe, take it over from there, particularly with all the musings about federal might and state might, and then, of course, yeah.
I will struggle to be brief and summarize, because history is rich here. And when history is rich, somebody becomes expansive. I'll start from the state and federal might, like my brother said, from the Labour Party. I am afraid if we, the APC, we are banking on the federal might, our candidates will not be going from ward to ward in the entire state. He has campaigned in the 18 local governments, and is doing ward to ward, and even selecting villages where we think we'll have issues. So if we are banking on federal might, I don't think we will have to waste our time and resources on campaigning. That's that. Then in the area of security, like the PDP man said, or godfatherism again, I am afraid that even in 2015, when you claimed that Oshomole tried to play godfatherism or whatever, he brought in Obaseki. He allowed Odubus and others to enter into the primaries. What he did was to make sure his choice candidate defeated others. But we have a sitting governor here who didn't even allow 9 aspirants to even get to the stadium. How is more of a godfather, for crying out loud? Including his deputy governor, Ogbede Ihama, and the barrister Omosede. They didn't even allow them to get close to the stadium. Who is more of a godfather here? And he single-handedly handpicked somebody, and he pressed it and forced it on the neck of the people. Let me also tell you that in 2016, those who entered primary with His Excellency Godwin Obaseki didn't leave the party. But let me also tell you now that the 9 people, including Aslem Ojezwa, who entered primaries, who all supposedly were supposed to enter primary with Aswa Ighodalo, they have all left the party. And who is then a godfather here? Including the deputy governor. So when you talk about godfatherism, you should first of all know between Adams Ali Oshomole and Godwin Obaseki who is a better godfather. Then the security aspect of it. I am afraid that because elections are coming, and Isegbe Fideli steals a fowl, and you ask the police not to arrest me and wait till after the elections. Oh no, now, due. A crime is committed in the eve of the elections, and you are saying that the people should not be interrogated. I don't know how we think about it. What you are expected to do is to clear yourself of the allegations. Of course, if I have committed any crime, even on the election day, I should be arrested. So when I hear a certain group of people, political people saying this, that, and let me also tell you, sir, If there is anybody who is brewing violence, it's the People's Democratic Party. They have declared war in Edo. First, they say it's do or die, and they said they will put fire in Nigeria. And they have, in fact, adopted that they have refused to sign the peace deal, which suggests that they are indeed ready for war. So when you talk about these things, these are issues that are before Edo people. We have a candidate who is going about talking to the voters. He has no business shouting or whatever. He's talking to the voters. He's talking to about 6 million people in Edo, telling them his 5 agendas, what he needs to do. And this person is electable. We are having 2 electable characters in our ballot. Denis Idausa and the incoming governor, by God's grace, Okpeolu. These are electable people who have tested the ballot, and the people trust them by the ballot. Okay, let me pause you there, Engineer Fidelis. I'll come back to you. Dr. YB, give us your perspectives on this.
Yeah, well, it's slightly very distorting. The whole arrangement is profused. A lot of people are saying a lot of things that are not substantiatable. Right from the beginning of this conversation, which is the front burner of present Edo politics, discussions about politics. He talked about Labour Party. I was a Labour Party personality. I was a member of the Presidential Campaign Council of Labour Party. Peter Obi is my personal friend. Amore is also my very personal friend. And we are from the same region. But right now, Labour Party is disgruntled. They don't have anything to canvass about in Benin because in the first instance, they are not into fairness, equity, and liberalization. We are talking about the tripolicy of Edo State, which is Edo North, Edo Central, and Edo South.
Edo North.
Edo North. Yeah, we have agreed that, okay, fine, let us rotate this thing for peace reasons. And Labour jumped in with an Edo man from the South, from the same local government with the present excellency Obaseki, and as a matter of fact, we are here that their relations. And so that does not make sense to the political finance of this period. And we are looking at my very good friend here. He was talking, as to say he's a member of a PDP, analyzing PDP. No, but unfortunately, he's an APC person, and he cannot tell us in PDP what the situation is. He talked about the candidacy of APC going from word to word. We don't even know who the candidate of APC is. The candidacy of APC is not known. It's disyllabus. You know, it has a differentiation, it has a dichotomy. It's either Shomole is the candidate, he's the one going from word to word, not Okbewo. So he should be able to fine-tune what he gives and dishes out to the public. Okbewo is not a candidate. One, because a candidate must be able to come and sell his manifesto. A candidate don't sit behind as a surrogate and allow somebody else to sell his manifesto when the Oshomole is not going to want to govern the state. Oshomole is only a grand breeding for death, for people who are not very consistent with themselves, for people who are not very conversant, but people who have lost their confidence. He has osmotized them from other parties and buried them in APC. To my dear brother, Osumbo, he removed him from PDP, buried him in APC. Today, his political ambition is not sustainable. Anyway, it's not a governorship card, it's not anything. He removed on and from PDP and buried him in APC. Today, his political availability is no more recognizable. He removed the great pastor, Izejamu, from PDP, buried him in APC. Today, he has no voice. All them Lucky Masue, you know, all of them, he takes them out very trickishly and buries them in APC. And today, he's fighting for Okbewo, not necessarily fighting for Okbewo, adducing all kind of ridiculous, you know, sublime excuses why it should be Okbewo. How can it be Okbewo? Okbewo that cannot even tell anybody what he wants to do. For a candidate to be able to sell himself to the people, you have to first of all evaluate and examine, excruciate inside out of who this candidate is. Nobody is able to evaluate who our candidate for APC is really, whether his name is real. First of all, the constituencies, we are not aware of it. His involvement in life, we don't know. His parentage, we don't know. His father, we don't know. His mother, we don't know. His school he attended, we don't know. He himself, we don't know. And he says he wants to be governor. Governor of who? Edo State of 2024. We want to bring out somebody that is an abstract into abstractism to come and be our governor. I mean, that is not possible now.
Okay, let me proceed, Dr. Waibe. I'll come back to you in a moment. Idris, let's look at raising the bar of governance. What is your party and your candidate bringing to the table different from what is in existence and what is even not in existence?
Well, it's important we quickly situate issues. My elder brother, I think he qualifies to be my father, is old enough, made allusions to the fact that Labour Party did not pursue equity, justice, and fairness. It's a fraudulent claim. For us in Labour Party, we do not believe in that kind of equity, justice, and fairness. We believe that we must put our best foot forward. And, you know, having said that, we agreed that power should do a certain rotation. I don't know where such a meeting was held. That kind of a meeting only exists in the realm of the imagination of those who propagate it. For us in Labour Party, I have made it abundantly clear. We have a sellable candidate, the best on the ballot. From previous work, from previous history, the best, the very, very best, the most mercurial on the ballot. For them, I worry strongly that a man of Aswe's capacity and category would allow himself to be midwiped by a government that has been calamitous, by a government that has completely lost touch with the people. When it rains these days, Benin, half of Benin is under flood. I went to a place called Sobe. Sobe have not seen electricity due to transformer for 2 years. Yesterday again we were in Orionwo. Orionwo Abuduro Ngige has not saw electricity for 10 years, and we have a government who is mouthing big mouth promises unachievable. You know, like someone rightly said, we have in the PDP candidate, in my opinion, is unelectable. For the APC candidate, like the lawyers will say, reps issa loquitur. The facts speaks for themselves. So when we come here and we are having conversation, I think the PDP by now should be apologizing to Edo people. They have affected our psyche. They have stolen from us. They have done magical things that can only happen in Banana Republic. In this state, somebody budgeted money for Sobe farm. Not a bag of rice came out from a bag of grains of maize, because it was supposed to be a maize farm, came out from Sobe farm. In Ilushi, we had the miracle of Ilushi, budgeted, money paid into the accounts of young people in Sterling Bank, and the money was withdrawn without the knowledge of those who own the account. I am saying this and I am putting it out there for the law enforcement agents to take note. You know, so we can go on and on and on. See, for us in Labour Party, we have a candidate who is ready to work. Olumide Osaigbovo-Akpata has proven himself beyond reasonable doubt. Olumide Osaigbovo-Akpata met 600 million debt in NBA. When he was leaving, he left 1.5 billion in the coffers of NBA. For context, our Governor Godwin Obaseki met 125 billion debt in Edo. As we speak, we are at 600 billion. Nothing to show. Absolutely nothing to show. Okay. And if you tell me that Godwin Obaseki is not on the ballot, Aswe is on the ballot. Okay. Aswe went to Nigerian breweries. And when he was leaving Nigerian breweries was 165 billion in debt. Nigerian breweries had to go to the capital market to raise money so that myself and Sonny Duke can continue to drink Star Lager beer. Okay. This is the individuals who want to come and run us. We must be careful. For people who are smooth talking, who are fine talking, who present finesse, it is usually a sign of somebody attempting to obtain you by false pretense.
All right, thank you, Idris. Let me come to Chris now. Chris, talk to us about the difference that your party intends to make against the background of an overhang of a present government in Edo State, which your party is also leading.
All right, we have started to make that difference. Now, and that dovetails into the question of equity we had addressed. Equity is so important in a heterogeneous society that if you undermine equity, especially in a country like Nigeria's, you are going to invite the highest form of divisiveness that could lead to disintegration in this country. And that is why even in our national consciousness, we have federal character entrenched in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Peter Obi, was brought to the fore in the pursuit for equity. Peter Obi, who was the presidential candidate of Labour Party 2023, was brought to the fore in the pursuit for equity. So in Edo State, we have operated as one family. And the reason why we have achieved that is the mutual respect and mutual consideration and mutual empathy that we share among the 3 senatorial districts. Edo Central, by population, I was on TV here, when a guest who was speaking from the UK said Edo Central will not produce the governor. And what was his reason? That they don't have the population. You anchored that program. If you remember, I said, if we are going to use population to say because a particular region has the least population in a tripartite or a tripodal state like Edo, then it means that here we don't have justice, equity, and fair play. The fact that Edo Central has the smaller population or the least population does not mean that they don't have the competence to govern. And so there might not have been any written document, as Idris wants to see, but there's a tacit agreement among people who believe in equity that we should allow power to transit. And that's why the PDP led the way. We must give kudos to Obaseki, who was not blinded by nepotism, ethnicism, or bigotry. To say, look, if we are going to allow equity for the nation's those states' will to run smoothly, let us gravitate our party towards that way. And APC did not take that cue. But when they hit the rock and we are going to disintegrate, that is why they hurriedly, in a knee-jerk staggering, chose the kind of person they have chosen now. If they had sat down, the leaders of your party had sat down, they would have sat down to reason on who from the 27 candidate aspirants was competent to flag APC's flag, to fly APC's flag. So because they did not thinking of equity, they left it to a godfather who went outside equity to go against equity. Equity worked against it. And that is how you brought the candidate you are bringing today. So that's on equity. Now, on development, I agree with Idris that you could go to Orion and find 1 or 2 roads that is not passable. You mentioned Sobe, and that you mentioned that Sobe didn't have electricity. You didn't mention that the best 3rd road today in Edo State, and one of the best in the country, is the road linking Sobe to my village. The federal road that passes through Irekpe to my village onto Ifon has been destroyed. We've done everything we can do. The federal have refused to repair it. So Obaseki took that detour that passes through Sobe to my village. So you cannot access on one in a nylon tire road. You mentioned erosion. Maiduguri, which is a federal government party state controlled, has just been submerged. There are natural, Dubai the other day almost went underwater. There are natural forces. Obaseki has done so much to control erosion in Edo, and so you cannot use one thing he has not done to cancel out the fact that Edo State pays the highest salary to its civil servants. The federal government is still struggling with that figure. You cannot rule out the fact that the state secretariat is the best working and commodious working ambience in the country today, including the federal secretariat in Abuja, our state secretariat. And the huge cost that went into revamping that list and making it state of the art. Okay. You cannot rule out the fact that up till now, Obaseki is still working. It is the first time in history that you find a government who did not abandon governance at the beginning of this year. And it's still working. We are yet to commission IARO, where you have the whole medical hub and complex that takes in the ministry, that takes in Suburb, that takes in a state-of-the-art library, e-library.
Okay, so Chris,
I'm saying that while you may find faults with where you probably have seen 1 or 2 things.
Also accept
there are so many things Obaseki have done.
Let me pursue that and bring in Fidelis here. Fidelis, the talks that perhaps one of the major challenge that your party is facing is the quality of what it has brought forth in this election. Does that make sense at all?
That's your personal imagination, sir. You see, certain events by themselves transient, others have permanent and abiding nature. Like speaking to the issues, you see, I expect by now, if we live in a sane society, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, led by His Excellency Godwin Obaseki, should go across the entire wards and villages in Edo, apologizing, doing ablution, going for penance, asking for forgiveness. What I expect my gentlemen here to do, who are representing PDP, is to apologize that there is no ship that has docked in Gelegele Seaport. Is to apologize to Edo people that there is no plane that has landed in Auchi Airport. To apologize to Edo people that we have not been able to count 200,000 jobs in Edo. To apologize to Edo people that they just collected suburb land and gave to their foreign friends. To apologize to Edo people that even the 70,000 naira minimum wage is not fully implemented on the salary structure, except on the allowances. So when they talk, sometimes I feel that they don't live in Edo to understand what is happening in Edo. Is it not this particular Edo state that is being governed by Godwin Obaseki, that even in the front of his office in government's house is flooded? And my brother is saying we should take excuse for that. And I'm sorry. Please, they should, in all fairness, PDP should not be in this contest. What they are supposed to be asking for is apology. Those who made attempt to balkanize the traditional institution, that's a sacrilege. So I think they should be asking for forgiveness instead of campaigning to Edo people. Like the quality of candidates you talked about. You see that our candidate, Monday Okpeyolo, is not a talkative. Does not mean that he cannot walk talks. First, he's not going to be in government alone. He's going to have commissioners and advisor. The office of the governor is a clearinghouse. He's going to have ministries, permanent secretaries. And that because he's not a talkative, who intend to deceive people. When a man talks too much, he becomes deceptive. And that is what will happen in the character of the People's Democratic Party. Let me tell you, Obaseki didn't pursue equity. He brought his friend. If he wanted to pursue equity, Asle Mojezwa is from Ishaland, who has fought with him. So what he did, he pursued the interest of his friends. And let me tell you, governance is about empathy and not about profit making. When you look at the CV of Aswe Ighodalo, it's all about profit making. But somebody who is to govern a state is to have empathy and sympathize with the people and not to make money out of the people. The policies you see these people drive are policies of making money and driving resources. And that's the policies they make. All what they are saying, infrastructure or whatever, these are grammars and rhetorics, which will not work. A man who tells you I'll build schools, he builds the schools. What are the IMAC projects you are telling me now? What you are saying is that there is a very beautiful secretariat. My dear brother, it was renovation. The Sobe road you are talking about Oshomole started it, thinking that Obaseki will finish it in his first step. He's hurriedly finishing it now because of campaigns. And that road has been there. I passed that road. I'm from Owa East. So when you allude all these kind of things to a failed government, my dear people of PDP, I expect you people after Saturday to go on ablution and penance for sins forgiven.
Okay. Dr. Waibe, talk to us. What, in your opinion, are the issues that Edo people should look out for in this election, particularly with the quality of candidates that are presented themselves?
You see, the whole thing becomes extremely excruciating when you have people in your panels that have been personal. I have my sons. None of them has any dark pigmentation. In the last labor coming to Benin, one of them said he was from Egwai. And Oba Obini said, no, you're not my son. So let's look at issues. Let's look at personalizations, which is very distorting and very unprofessional. Now, if you look at the situation in Edo State, you find that it's very difficult, you know, to move the people from the ground that they are so sunk. It's like they're so leg deep, like a quicksand. The more you wobble, the deeper you sink. The persons in Nigeria, they are all sinking. And they are still having the audacity to talk about APC. I mean, look at the degenerated state of the country. The economy is so deleterious. Nothing is working. As a matter of fact, let's give one or two little reversal. You know, ordinarily a year ago, petrol was still 300 pounds. Petrol was still 300 naira. And in less than a year that this man has come into office, it's 1,200. And Nigerians are still talking. What are you talking? Don't you want a better situation for yourself and your children? Are you going to sit down like this in impunity, in such a frugal situation, where you're not able to have 3 square meals? I was coming just now, shot across this studio. There was one woman that was asking me for, you know, as I just came into the studio, asking me, they segmentize the way they feed now. The father feeds on Monday, the mother feeds on Tuesday, the children feeds on Wednesday, the grandchildren feeds on Thursday, and then nothing for the helpers and nothing for your grandparents. And now a situation like that is so deleterious, and you are still talking. What are you expecting? APC right now is in government. And so what magic are you thinking that APC can do for you again in this state? How? Why? Are you not able to see the balance of nature? Or are you going to go into your grave first before you see the balance of nature where you are in the futuristic world? That is what we are saying. You see this election, diasporans are so actively involved because they feel sorry for their brothers and sisters at home who keep asking them for largesse, who keep asking them for assistance. Because here you cannot sustain yourself. How are the people in diaspora able to sustain themselves and also see sustain a lot of us in Nigeria here? And the economy is grown by over 50% by diasporans' money coming to Nigeria. Why are we not able to look at it like that? We are looking at it because in the diaspora, the persons and governments of the diasporas are the ones that have made their country to be like that. But here you are dragging the poor man away from the deepness of the mud of the sand. He said, no, he must go inside. Otherwise, we should not be talking about APC at all in Nigeria, not to talk of Edo State. That is so classy. I mean, look at the candidacy of PDP, Dr. Aswen Godaro. He talked about profit. What else do you need? Obaseki himself has attracted over $500 million for the palm oil production in Edo State. He was able to do that by the sustainability and the trust the Western world and the international world, the foreign world have for him. And how do you have trust for the people? They see how diligent you are in the expenditure of your country's finance. You don't come wasteful spending about the whole place. One of these APC surrogate candidates came into Benin and when he was on rent. Today, if you say his palace in the north, I mean, you don't do that in the face of poverty. You don't do that in the face of bigotry. You don't see that in the face of penury. People are suffering about your place. You are there building mansions to yourselves. Obaseki came into office as a tenant or lease. He's still there as a lease tenant. He could have taken 100 billion and built one estate for himself. So, a governor's house. He didn't do that. And so we must look at the characteristics of persons who wants to come and govern. For instance, Igodaro has the perspicacity, for prudent ruling. The man is interwoven in wonderful patterns of developmental intelligence. It's not the kind of pedestrian kind of straw men who are into divisive stealing and looting of the treasury. It's not into that. So when you want to consider characteristics and characters, you must look into where the person is coming from, where the person is, and where the person wants to go. A man like Igodaro is multi-billionaire, haven't helped himself to achieve that. He's not coming here to be looking for people's penny, 10 pieces and everything. The president of Nigeria came in, the wife said, we have so much money. But before long, they started using our money. They borrowed to buy jet, to buy yacht, to buy SUVs for National Assembly members. And we are here in Nigeria, so we are looking at it. We are not able to divert and divulge and digest the reality of the situation of the people who can no more feed themselves, who can no more even go to hospital to treat themselves. These people are dying of at the best. Any medicine you have in Nigeria is fake. What kind of government is that? They are not able to monitor, transmit. There's no transmutation. There's no transparency. There's no transparency. Everybody's stealing money in this APC government.
Let me pause you there, Dr. Waiba. I'll come back to you in a moment. If you just join us, still at Don't Decide's live studio on independent television, looking at the challenge of raising the bar of governance, particularly against the background of the myriad of candidates that have come forth presenting themselves to Edo people. What are those qualities that will make that difference in Edo State is a big question. Let me get to you, Idris Zekari. We're here now. What should Edo people look out for on Saturday?
I take exception to the earlier xenophobic remark about skin pigmentation. That's totally unacceptable to me. That said,
okay.
In Edo State, in this next election, we must look beyond tribe, we must look beyond ethnicity, we must look beyond religion. I say this to say that hunger, lack, you know, in the course of my travel across the state, I did not just see poverty. I saw penury. I saw lack. I saw naked poverty, poverty without clothes on. Does not recognize ethnicity, religion, or any other kind of parochial sentiment that anybody will attempt to advance here. I also must state that those who are pushing the ethnic angle, saying that power must go to Edo Central by fire, by force, ought to be careful, because you cannot intimidate 60% of the voting population in an election. You should be more conciliatory than confrontational. So I am strongly advising that in the course of our conversations in the public like this, ethnicity should not even come up. We should instead discuss competence, capacity, and character. And when we want to talk about competence, capacity, and character, only one name comes to mind, Olumide Osaibovo Akpata. And I will explain. The gentleman at just 52 has done so well for himself that we are running an election from his personal pocket. He has no godfather who is spending state resources backing him, whether at the federal or the state. We have the other candidate that has just been called a billionaire now, all the SSAs of the governor, against the law, have become partisan government officials working for a candidate who is not the governor. In terms of character, this gentleman has done so well. In collaboration with his cousin, built the biggest law firm in West Africa. The PDP candidates usually want to accrue this to himself. Theirs is not the biggest. They have 120 lawyers. Olumide Osaibovo Akpata's Templar, where is a principal partner, has 128 lawyers, 3 senior advocates of Nigeria who became senior advocates in Templars. They don't even have one. In terms of performance in office, as president of the Nigerian Bar Association, every lawyer in this town and elsewhere who is not partisan, we confirm to you that Olumide's time as chairman, as president of the NBA was the golden era of the NBA. Keep in mind that he is the first person from the outer bar who became president of the NBA, and the outer bar meaning that he is the first non-senior advocate in a period of around 30 years who became the NBA president. And when he was leaving that office, having met debt of 600 million, left in the coffers of the NBA 1.5 billion. No other comes close. And when they boast about a man who has become a profit merchant, that's one thing we must deal with in this election. We must drive away mercantile politicians. Politicians who will take money in a state where flood is taking over. You know, they try to explain it. A dam got broken in Maiduguri. That's why Maiduguri is flooded. There is no dam that has lost its school in Benin. It is incompetence in the highest level. Look at my church, it's S&T Barracks here. They build trenches. Instead of it to dig a drainage that will take water from Isia or Luku to a Kosodi River, you dug trenches in front of S&T, dug trenches in front of my church. Today my church is flooded. We didn't go to mass in church. You see why I'm angry now? We didn't go to mass in church last Sunday. So this gentleman must realize that government is not profit, is not rent sinking, is not profit making. Government is empathy. And we have it in abundance. Their candidate that they boast of, who the question I usually ask is, you are a billionaire, you have done this general, that, commissioner, this, chairman, that. Who have you helped? There is not a branch of Sterling Bank where he was chairman in Edo Central where he comes from. Not one branch. Let's even assume that his village, Ewoimi, is not viable enough to have a bank, which I disagree with. There are banks in Uromi, there are banks in Ekpoma, not one branch. All of a sudden you appear, and then you want to come and become a governor of the state. And then somebody boasted that Obaseki has attracted 500 million in foreign direct investment to Nigeria. I wonder where they get their records from. Because according to the Presidential Committee on Ease of Doing Business, Edo State is the worst place to do business in Nigeria. We rank 37/37 on ease of doing business. I'm talking facts now. I'm not making it up. You can do your findings. Like we say in Labour Party, go and verify. So for me in this election, we must focus on the party that has the people in mind. A people-focused, people-centric, people-impacting party. A papa, mama picking party. And that is where Labour comes in. We have a young candidate, a vibrant candidate. We are going to the 192 wards. We are going to the 18 local government. We are going from street to street, house to house. And we are not arrogant about it. What's this arrogance about? Because of state power or federal power? So for us in Labour Party, our people must open their eyes. Don't let anybody cajole you. Today, the Yoruba people cannot tell you that they are eating better because Asiwaju is president. No, we are all suffering. They do not sell bag of rice 90,000 to a Benin man and 80,000 to a Yoruba man because the president is Yoruba. No, if you elect an unelectable and infinitely unelectable candidate, you will suffer for it. The man does not know you, he only knows his family.
Okay, Chris, take it off from there as we begin to wind up.
One thing that makes me laugh is how passion can elevate ignorance to sense. Passion does not change facts. Let me just give you an example of the law firm that Aswe Ighodalo. I'm happy he knows there's over 100 lawyers. Only 3 of them were principal partners in that law firm. All the others are young men like this who came out from the university, taken from youth service and trained through the process and made partners. Today they have 15 partners. In the various places where you have worked all your life, can you tell me who has elevated you as youth corper? You say he has no empathy. The man whose focus was to develop youth, and that is how you have over 120 developed from youth service to become productive lawyers. Not the one that the other man is an adjunct. I'm telling you the one he built from the scratch. Now, the issue of Sterling Bank, when he was chairman of Sterling Bank, he was a non-executive chairman of Sterling Bank. The thing they are used to is where if they give you position of authority, irrespective of the law that guides that organization, irrespective of the template, you should use force and then abuse your office. As a gentleman, that is what he didn't do. Banks have templates of operation, and that's why I was talking of ignorance. To think that you are chairman of Sterling Bank, you are the owner, and you decide where branches should be, is the height of ignorance. You work by the template of the bank. If it is not the decision and policy of the bank to cite a particular branch, you cannot go and cite it. And the bank will look at the profit you make from that particular place before you cite it. So that's on that. Now, as to what you have found that the young man was talking about apology, do you think in America today, Biden does not have something that he has not done? Or in Europe, the UK Prime Minister has not got something he has not done? Because they are not used to governance. In government, you plan, and you show your plan, and you discuss your plan with your citizens, and say, this is in the works, it's in the pipeline. And then you start to execute, and then we look at your execution. Over 250 projects. And so you are going to the one that is in the plan that hasn't come. You cannot see the State School of Nursing, that is the best in Nigeria, and producing nurses with telemedicine program. You cannot see the 200-seater bed of Stella Abacha Hospital with state-of-art facilities imported, and we are thinking of making it 500 beds. You cannot see the State School of Health Technology, develop the best in Nigeria. You cannot see College of Agriculture in Ogoraki. You cannot see the 8 palm produce farms, which he talked about, which you tried to poo-poo. Saturn Farms, Saro Farms, Duffield, Ferries from America, invested for your future. You cannot see those ones. You cannot see the ERO here, the labor house that is built for your godfather and named after him. You cannot see that. You cannot see the physical planning hub in Edo Gist. You cannot even see the Edo Gist himself. Then you cannot see the Edo Health Insurance Scheme that is taking care of the poorest of the poor, that you can enroll in with only 50 naira. You cannot see that one. Your city that had a covenant with ancientness, how Obaseki has opened it up. You have over 5 retail stores, massive. Edo City Hall is 60 massive stores. And ShopRite was brought here within a business deal that Oshomole couldn't bring for 8 years. And Edo citizens are working there, and they are buying from your local markets, because you don't understand what is government. You think government is getting the budget from Abuja and sharing it? Well, our focus is on investment for your future as a youth. Okay. You cannot see the Victor Wifo Center that is developing. What we import to the world is our creativity, our genius. Victor Wifo Creative Hub, you cannot see. Go to the Nigerian Observer that was moribund. Go there inside the same premises, you cannot see that one. MOA that is being built in the Museum of West African Art at completion will be fetching you $8 million every year. $8 million every year, and that's why you question why are we building Radisson, because you don't know the economy of tourism. Okay. If you bring people, footballers, like when Rema came that day, do you know how many people that would have come with him if they had security, if they had a good place to stay, and you know how much they will spend in your economy and how that will reflect your economy? How will Mama put sell this rice if you don't have investment? Right. So if you think that politics is just to bring the money and share, then you don't understand what is governance. All right, you say you should apologize. Excuse me, that is the reason why Ighodalo must come in, because he understands the trajectory. And he's going to fulfill those promises. For your information, all the paperwork about the seaport have been completed. Because you have to deal with federal government, you have to deal with all of those bureaucracy. Don't think you just say, I will do a seaport, just go and start building. It has been completed. NG Portugal has come here to bid for it. Bidding is going on. We're talking of multi-billion naira dollars investment. Okay. You think it's just something like this? All right. So you can't see all those ones.
We will quickly take Fidelis segment now. They're feeling that, okay, your party and the candidate doesn't have an agenda to drive development in those states is a major talking point. What do you got to say about that?
I don't know who said that. If we have been campaigning all across the 18 local governments and the ones, we have been telling them what we want to do now. So if you say we don't have a clear-cut agenda, a man who has spelled out his 5-point agenda clearly to the entire Edo people and Edo voters, and you are saying he doesn't have an agenda, that's not true. I still keep saying it. You see, when a man is not a talkative, it then means that the man has something inside to offer. It is not the ability to use rhetoric like he has just, you see, all these things he's saying, Victor Wifo Hub, painted buildings and all of that, I do not see how it affects the transportation system in Edo. I do not see how it affects the man who went to buy beans and akara in the market. I do not see...
You should worry about that. That was caused by your party.
Now, Chris, let's take it one at a time. Segbe, go ahead.
Can I continue?
Oh, sorry.
Yes. All right. Go ahead.
They should worry about how Edo people are driving on the bad roads in Edo. 82% of the state roads, they are bad. Okpewolo is saying, I am going to focus on primary health. Primary health is supposed to be for even the local government. He said, I will focus, because he understands that the indigents, the local people needs the primary health system. And what is, you see, when they keep talking about hubs and this and that, these are things that exist on paper. He clearly said now that everything about Gelegele is everything about the paperwork. And of course, we understand that this government is about the government of papers, and it doesn't affect the common Edo people. He said he had to stop children from going to school because of hike in fuel. I expected His Excellency Godwin Obaseki to tell us how many barrels or liters of fuel that is coming from his modular refinery. Or has he not told us when the fuel will come down so that our children can go back to school? Come on. If you say fuel hike, don't go to school, you should be able to tell them, I am going to do this so that the fuel will come down. He doesn't have that capacity. The modular refinery, he claimed nothing comes out of it. If the modular refinery was working, probably Edo people would have been buying fuel cheaper.
It's working.
And you are selling at how much?
It's working.
You are selling at how much?
You didn't talk about the price. You talk about where it's
It's actually not working.
It's not working. And it's not
Let's take it one at a time. Let's take it one at a time.
If it's working, it should work for Edo people. It means that Edo people should get fuel seamlessly and even a lesser price. So what they do is to write things on paper in an attempt to swindle the money of Edo and take it to abroad and invest with their friends in the Ikoyi and all of that. We understand how it works. It's just like me living here and I'll tell my friends, say, this place, me, they will come liquor. I'll come drag my friend, come inside. That's what they are trying to do in Edo. And I'm telling you that on Saturday before 12 noon, Edo people will speak out. I can tell you that the PDP can come distant all.
All right. Dr. Wabi, talk to us about your expectations on Saturday.
My expectations are very liberal and very factual and very evidence-based. Quickly, Akpata, a colleague of, his time and duration in office has been the worst ever for MPA in Nigeria history. Because at the end of that convention, which they had in Lagos, police were called in. A lot of the lawyers did not have ordinarily take-home bags, which are supposed to be complimentary bag for those people that attended the convention. So that was a very disastrous ending for MBA in the history of Nigerian MBA, conventions. And so we cannot give kudos to Akpata for that. Akpata, yes, nice man, yes, but you see, for that, no kudos. Yes, great, first son, yes, but those are infinitesimal things to judge the characteristics and performance ability of somebody. You see, outside that, if you look at talking about paperwork, internationally, you must go through the process before confirmation must be given and before it can be installed and then becomes tangible. A lot of these things go through intangibility first before it becomes standardized, and becomes standard. So we cannot say there will be no paperwork. And as a matter of fact, the government of Edo State today is a paperless government since 2023. It has been a paperless government. When the great Ngige came to London, he was still treating files because he was treating files on his telephone, even though it was in UK. But in the past, you will find one paper from one document, from one file, from one ministry to one ministry, bribing around the whole place. It will delay. But these days, no. Just enter into your software, and you're able to treat files. And so that's expediency, and that's from the capacity building, of the sentiment of the strength of Governor Obaseki, who has also built the shopping mall, which Oshomile came and said, I will kill shopping mall, I will bury shopping mall. What kind of sense is that? And you are going to tell the people you want to come in as government and come and kill what has been done? That is laughable and highly, disproportional in terms of moving the government forward. Okay. So with a man like Ighodalo has this capacity, perspicacity of high mental discernment, intellectualism, to be able to create and build something from nothing into something of international administration, into something of international envy. Look at what happened in Dubai. Dubai is a desert. But from men of high concession, we are able to build Dubai into some kind of global attraction. That is what Ighodalo is going to do. Well, I was listening to God the other day. He said, the principal said he's going to create 50,000 jobs yearly. And he has told you how he will do it. He's not just saying, I will do it, I'll do it. Okpebolo has a tabra rasa. The brain is empty. You cannot teach it, and it cannot retain anything taught. A man like that cannot do anything. You are talking about a man who was able to manage the economy of several conglomerates, even in association or in agreement. He has been able to manage it, and has managed it profitably. We are looking at Obaseki. Obaseki will have a birthday today. You say, hello, Your Excellency, it's a happy birthday. When are we going to be drinking crystal beer of about 60 million per bottle? He says, sorry, I'm in the house with my family. Don't come into. It's not a government of flamboyancy, a government of waste, a government of pleasurable expenditure. It's not that kind of a government. Okay. So we are looking at Ighodalo, who is very focused, a man of good upbringing, whose father was an accountant, the mother a permanent secretary, first female permanent secretary in Nigeria. Okay, gentlemen, my time for this segment is up. And I want to thank you for the views that you brought forth for us to have this engagement. If I have more time, probably would have continued with that conversation because we have another sponsored interview coming up. Remember, campaigns ends tomorrow, so political parties will always do all they can to dominate conversations for their advantage. But let me express my gratitude to Dr. Peter Wabi. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you very much. Engineer Fidelis Isegbe, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you. And Christopher Ojekwe, thank you for coming on the show. And Idris Zekeri, thank you for coming.